Not through FOMC, but before.
So
But
Monday, Tuesday.
yeah, I'll still show up. But don't like I'm not expecting the same action as this week. I just specifically came this week because uh it was that dude's first day as Fed chair, and it was a shortened week, so I kind of expected more action than usual.
Mm.
But chat was saying that on FOMC days it still could be super balanced where like there wouldn't be any great setups. But I do see why Carmine shows up for the morning session on FOMC day.
Mm.
Like as far as if you're gonna trade auction based, like if you're waiting for higher time frame zones, then it's kind of less. Don't really, you don't really have to show up. But when it comes to like auction based trading, there will be I mean there can be opportunity.
Mm. Okay. I did make a winning trades one of those days, or was it Thursday?
I think it was the day before FOMC,
Oh yeah,
because then the next day you didn't trade.
dude, I got my new setup, and all my bookmat stuff is erased.
Like the delta and all that.
Not only the settings, I had to do all that shit for Thinkorswim, all that shit yesterday. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm ready to review. So I opened Bookmap, I went to the replays, nothing's there.
Dang, that's crazy.
I know, it sucks.
How did Maya break your laptop?
She likes to go in, she likes to hang out in my room, go on my chair, and start banging on my laptops. And she just broke everything. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
That's funny.
I can't get mad at her though. So whatever.
Um, so this week, I think the only two higher time frame zones. Oh, I'm not even sharing my screen. Can you guys see my shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, yesterday, oh, just a quick thing. Yesterday at the settings, I was messing with like CVP, and like when I was fixing the CVP, COB, SVP, I went to CVP, and you could put the delta on with a VWAP line on the delta.
I know.
That was a trip. I wanted to use it just to see if it could be like extra good confirmation, but I feel like it's too much shit, so I erased it. But I thought that was interesting.
You could also do what was the other thing? I was tripping out on. I forgot what it was, but yeah, there's a lot of settings that I don't fully. Sometimes I wonder if I use everything that I should be using, but yeah, I feel like it's too much at the same time.
Yeah, I think what we're using is perfect. I think the delta was the last thing we needed.
Um, yeah. For this week though, the two higher time frame setups I would say were Thursday. Yeah, Thursday at the 90-minute demand pre-market, and then on Monday we had a daily slash 2 hour supply. The daily slash 2 hour supply ended up. Oh wait, no, that was Tuesday. Did I say Tuesday or did I say Monday?
Tuesday.
Oh, both Tuesday and Monday we had the daily and the 2 hours. So if you look right here, the 2 hour, I mean the daily ended up holding as support, so we rallied into it, and then it pulled back, and then I was trying to short here, but it ended up holding as support, and I think the key indicator for that was one. Look at how when Spy was trying to reject 2 hour, it was holding the VWAP as uh, ES was trying to hold the bottom of the daily, and VWAP was right under, and also NQ was holding the bottom of this 45-minute supply. So all that was like indications that this may be support instead of rejection. But I was still extra focused on the delta here. So I ended up, and I forgot that there was this 1,000 lots down here at the 7,600 right underneath the supply zone. So it was kind of dumb of me to be trying to short this. Um, but one thing that I have realized about my like using the delta, and this is a mistake I kept making every time I would get into this past week, was let me show you a better one. Where is it? One that I got stopped out on. I took 3 trades almost every day this week, which was bad.
But you stayed green during the week.
I'm -$8.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and it was worth it because I feel like I learned a lot. Okay, like right here. So see how here, you know how I always say like, okay, I'm looking at where the delta is, looking at the ups. So right here, I was looking at a way to short this because we had broke through aggressively on this 90-minute demand, and then we broke under it. And as we broke under it, I was watching for where the price can pop up into and potentially reject again. And one thing I've been doing lately is say, like in this example, I see 75.85, the 300 delta here. And then up above, we also have this 75.90, 200 buy delta here. Below, we also have this 386, this 251. So as price is popping up, I'm asking myself, okay, is this 75.80 going to hold as resistance? It ends up breaking it. It ends up breaking this 82. And then we get closer to the top of the demand here. One thing I've been doing is it'll pop into this area of the 370, and then I'm already looking for ways to get short, so it'll like pop up and then slightly reject, and I end up getting short. But I forget that the auction above, over, like, technically buyers can still want to pop up into this 75.90. So when I get short here around like 75, well, I got short like at 75.84. I then have to put I mentioned this last week. I then have to put my stop above where the auction can still pop up into. So it can still pop up into 75.90 here. So I would technically have to put my stop like at 91. And that's like a super large stop and it's super inconvenient for my risk to reward. And then you can see here when it does pop up, it pops up into that 75.85 here on this little, you can see the little red line where price pops into. Then it breaks back under and I get short, but then price instantly pops back up into that 90 area, and or like 89 area. And chat is keeps telling me that I'm not letting the auction fully show me where it wants to, or I'm getting in early anticipating that this area 85, 81 to 85 to 90 is that rejection, which it is the rejection area that ends up being. But I'm anticipating where the rejection is, and then I'm just like, okay, it can't get above 90, so let me just put my stop up there. And it's saying that by doing that, I'm making myself either put my stop too tight because I don't want to have a large stop, and I'm also not letting the auction inside here fully play out. So what it's telling me is wait for it to pop up into that higher portion of the auction. And same as if it were coming, like if it were falling into here, you want it to come down into like this lower portion of the auction. Sometimes it's not always going to tap that 85, but the closer it is to there, the better your stop can be.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been like in this situation, I got in at 84 and then I set my stop right above. Well, I technically set my stop inside the auction still because it should have been above 90. You can see the 200 delta here even. And sure enough, it pops up into that like 88, 89 area. Never hits the 90. But if I would have waited for it to like pop into this area, then my stop would have been a lot better. My reward would have been a lot better. And I wouldn't have been so antsy inside of this trade.
Mm-hmm.
and then it ends up wicking me right at my stop, and then has this amazing drop that I just got super emotional on. But even on the long here, I took a long. So this is this is higher time frame zone, 90-minute demand. Price comes down, and as you can see here on the candle, price sells off into 90-minute demand, and then at before 6:45, it pops up into 7,600. So, oh, it pops up into this over here, the 30-minute supply zone, and then drops back down. And as it's dropping back down, this is when we finally get the large delta that appears, 75.85 here. And then you so that's the where my mind now thinks, okay, we're in 90-minute demand. I see the large delta. Now I need to see a reclaim of 85. And as price drops lower into the supply, I mean into the demand, it breaks yesterday's low, making a lower low, and then instantly you get this 200 delta here, and right after the 200 delta, price starts to pop up, and it shows like a conviction to the upside instead of falling lower. So I was aware of the 85 400 delta, and then I was aware of the 75 80 200 delta, and then seeing that price never broke under 75.80 and ends up reclaiming back above that 400 delta at the 85s on the next pullback down. I got in on the pop here above 85, and I set my stop under 81. Yeah, 81, which technically is still inside of the auction, because price, with especially with this week's volatility, price could have still came down, stopped me out, and then kept rallying. So I also feel like I anticipated the entry here. It was a decent entry still. I'm not upset with the entry. I'm more upset with how I managed the trade, because one, I put my stop. Chat says my stop was okay because of the way price had that conviction to the upside, and it says that my error was going break even too early, and it's saying that I know Carmine says like, oh, if price pops 6 or 7 to 10 points, then move your stop to break even, but chat is saying that you need to understand the difference in the volatility for that day, because if it's a 18 VX or higher, then you're going to get like 8 point swings. And in this case, it was how many points did that? 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 90. This was a 7 point swing. So from 93, it pulled back all the way to 86, which is 7 points. And then it finally keeps rallying. So it's saying that don't really base your break even on points, and base it more on the volatility for the day, because this day we were very volatile, so expecting a 7 point pullback isn't not, it's not like it's not possible and then still holding, especially the fact that that auction area is 85 to 80. So the fact that on this pullback it never drops back into the auction, having my stop still down here would have been okay. I did this more as a one, we've been saying like, oh, if price pops 7 8 points, move your stop to break even. But it was more trying to protect myself than going based off of what the auction was telling me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in this case, I wouldn't be too upset with my stop. Like, it was decent. Just keep in mind that you want to have an idea of like setting your stop underneath the that pre where that selling failed. So in this case, setting it under 80 would have been probably a wiser. And if I would have been more patient and waited for it to drop a little lower, setting it under 80 would have made even more sense, because then I would have gotten like at like the 84s maybe, and then that would have put me at like a 4 point stop. So that would have been a little more convenient. But because I got in at the 86s, I was like, damn, that's a 6 point stop, which also for what I was targeting wasn't bad either. It was 86. VWAP was going to be my first target, and then my actual target was 7,600. But that my whole thing is saying that when you see that auction area, the how I seen the 400, and then I also seen this 200 delta here. You want to let price pop up and then pull back into not don't just expect it to hold above that 85. Like sometimes it is going to fall deeper, and you want it to just get closer to that lower delta just to put you in a better risk to reward.
How do you decide
Yeah.
the auction area again?
Say
Out,
that again.
like, how do you decide where an auction area is? Because there's other areas that'll have deltas, but how do we know? Or is it like a in the moment
So
kind of thing?
so one, it was inside my 90-minute demand. So that's the main thing. So as prices developing here, we had this drop, this pop, this drop, and then this pop. But as all of this was happening, there was nothing in here telling me that delta was heavy. Not until this drop here that I then identify this 400 delta. And if you look from where the market was the whole first 30 minutes, there is nowhere else that 400 this size delta appeared. Look at all the delta here. 200 was the highest. Nowhere else was there heavy delta. So once I seen this 435 delta, I was like, okay, we're in my key zone. It's at 75.85. Now I need to see what's the reaction after this large delta. Once I see the reaction, which was this drop continuing here. So like I said, 75.85 had that 400 delta, but it's not showing up because this is already showing what happened after. But as it's falling here, I then seen this 200 delta. So as this 200 delta appears, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then we're breaking the yesterday's low. Also, I think NQ was holding 45-minute demand as I seen that 200 delta. So I was like, if price can't continue down after this 200 delta, the fact that NQ is holding 45-minute demand, uh, ES just broke yesterday's low, and then seeing the reaction after the 200 delta, look at how aggressive price starts to pop. It starts to get like very I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but like it's showing conviction that it wants to get that buyers are stepping in now. And then look at CBD. CBD is starting to make higher lows here. So as that's happening, in my head, I'm like, okay, this 75.85 where the 400 delta was, and this 75.80 where the sellers failed to break lower, now is that auction area where buyers and sellers are battling. So in my mind, I want to see buyers get above 75.85 where that 400 delta was to show me that they want to keep pushing price higher. So as price now here breaks above 75.85, I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I wanted to see. Now I want to see a pullback hold above 75.85. It pulls back, we get this quick little pop, and I get in long. I could have been a little more patient and waited for another uh, pullback because on this pop, it didn't really show a lot of strength. It was just like a quick little pop, and then I just entered because it popped above 75.85. But in this case, it drops a little lower. And then finally on this next pop, it gets above 75.85, tests that 75.88. And on this next pullback here, where you see this little red bubble, this is where I need to get ready to start entering because now it's definitely holding above 75.85. And look at CBD again makes a higher low on this pullback here. So now everything is starting to align that above 75.85, the buyers are trying to push this higher. And the cherry on top, I'd say, is the fact that NQ was holding this 45-minute demand.
Nice.
that make sense, Eloy?
Yeah.
We could replay
So
this one too. I think this
the 400 delta, I don't know if I missed something. It went away because it broke it.
it went away once buyers got above it.
Okay, that's the part I missed. All right.
Uh, what day was it? 17. So you'll see right now how the 400 delta appears. It just appears out of nowhere. Look, I'm barely coming back to reality. Oh shit. Five eighty here.
This is the
So
one you
look
just
at
explained.
what?
This is the one you just explained.
Yeah. So look at here how this is already 6:30 a.m. to so this is 7 minutes into the market open. Look at here on the deltas on the CVP. All we're seeing is a 199, 143, 133, 135. And one thing that I will say about this week is all of the until before what day is this? 17. Is that a Tuesday or Thursday? That was Wednesday. So this was the day of FOMC. Um I'm just thinking if I should even say this. But when there's lower volume days, 200 delta is a little more of an outlier. But still, I would still kind of want to see larger delta. But 200 delta on lower volume days can be considered an outlier.
What's
So
the
as this was all developing here, I knew it was the day of FOMC, so I was kind of like questioning, asking myself, am I going to see a larger delta? And it wasn't really happening. And then you'll see, I think, 200 here on this 75.85. So already this stuck out to me because I was like, okay, this is the biggest delta of the session so far. And then after this delta, we get a pop. And remember, this is at, or I guess it's not, or it just is. It's like at that same range that I had mentioned where the 400 delta is, that 75.85, 75.84 area right now. 200 delta still. So here I was like, damn, is this the long that I should be looking to take? And then 200 delta is trying to fight here, and then we get the pop here. And on this pop is when it rallies to 7,600. So this is where I'm saying, like, you can see setups based on the auction, but they're not. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be part of it. Like on this setup, I almost felt like, damn, I missed the move, because I was like, it's lower volume day, and 200 is the outlier, and then you'll see it ends up rallying all the way to the 7,600. And boom, it hits my target basically. But still, look at the delta. we're only seeing 200s, 200s, 200s. All we're seeing
So
is
so for outliers, you know how these buying deltas and the selling deltas are clustered together?
yeah.
So when they're like that, do you pay attention to how they look, or do you pay attention to the number?
What do you mean by how they look?
Like, you know how they're clustered together? Like say the large cluster above the bottom selling, the one on the right on the buying the buying delta or whatever.
This?
It looks, yeah, that one. It looks like it could be an outlier because it's big, right? And they're all clustered together, but they're all relatively the same as the other, like the amount. Besides
Yeah.
that, the 200s.
Yeah.
Like say if they were all 150s or whatever, would that still be an outlier?
Not to me, to be honest. One, this is above my zone, so I'm more focused on what happened down here because one, it's inside my zone, and
Just in general, just in general, it doesn't matter if it's in the zone or not.
so you're
Like
asking
say,
if it's clustered 150s, is it an outlier?
y- yeah, I mean, yeah, if they're all relatively the same amount, like you see the little cluster up above, it's 123, 112, 134. The one above that one is 153.
Yeah.
Like they're all relatively the same amount of volume, I guess, or whatever. But
Yeah, and
this large cluster looks like it could be an outlier, but maybe I'm overthinking it.
I would I that's why I'm saying that you can see large delta like this, and because we also see the large delta down here at 7505 with that same kind of in that same kind of range, I wouldn't necessarily say there's an outlier yet. Yes, that's why I just said right now, not every auction setup is a setup to take. Yes, there became an opportunity out of this, but there's nothing that's really, if you compare everything on the CVP, there's nothing that really sticks out to me
Okay, that's what I was asking. All right.
because you're gonna see when price falls down into the 90-minute demand again, you'll see something really stick out.
So you wouldn't be like, okay, I'm waiting for price to pull back into the 75.92, 75.89s.
Nah, just
Okay.
because it's all. And if I were to think that, I would make this whole area here from, let's say we do find this 75.90 important, it would be 75.90 to 75.85.
Mm,
So I'm looking for price to come down into this range here. Not necessarily just in, and that's a mistake I keep making where I see this large delta here, but there's also this large delta at the lows, and I get fixated on the fact that we have this large delta when in reality, the auction that price needs to battle is all this here.
so you chose 75.90 because it's the start of the 200s.
Exactly.
Okay.
If
And
I'm
then
looking at what
and then
if I'm looking at what is sticking out to me right now, it's the fact that the 200s start right here and the 200s end down here basically.
okay, so whenever you see outliers, regardless of buying or selling delta, you can combine them to create a range.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Because if you just wait for price to get here, this first 200 or even this 75.89 200, now you ignore the fact that buyers can or sellers can still push down into this 200
Mm,
to try to push price lower, and that puts you at risk of having your stop too tight.
got it.
So as price falls here, All right, here we go. Look at the delta here at the 75.85s. You're gonna see 400 just pop out. 300 now it's growing.
This is absorption.
And look at how it's starting to stick out like a sore thumb here.
This is absorption.
Yeah, this is absorption. It's absorption because we're getting all this large selling and prices struggling to continue falling. But we don't just get in just because you see absorption. You still need to see that reaction. So
Because it could absorb to the downside, right? Like they're loading up.
yeah, like sellers can still, yeah, exactly. They can be loading up, and then the reaction after this delta is it pushes it even lower. So that's why whenever you see the delta, the outlier stick out here, you identify it, and then you ask yourself, okay, what's the reaction after the delta?
So were you getting above 90 or inside the range somewhere?
The to me the range hasn't even built up yet. All we're seeing is the 420 delta here. So I don't even know what the range is yet. All I see is 75.85 has large sellers trying to push price lower. The range builds up after this.
Oh, I thought you were going by the 75.90, but never mind.
Because now, forget what we were talking about earlier about the 200 and stuff. Now I've identified my outlier. It's this 410 delta here. So now I need to see what's the reaction after this. Are we going to pop up aggressively? Are we going to push down lower? What are we trying to do here? Also, I see these limit orders down here, so I'm like, is price gonna? And then yesterday's low is at 81, so I'm like, is price gonna try to break yesterday's low first? And as this is happening, I also see that uh, NQ was trying to drop into the 45-minute demand zone, so uh, I wasn't too in a rush to get in because I'm like, I want to see NQ hit that 45-minute demand zone first. So now we drop underneath the 75.85, and I'm like, dang, our sellers gonna take control of this. But I started to see that NQ was about to hit that 45-minute demand zone. I seen yesterday's low down here. So in my mind, I was like, oh, price may try to break yesterday's low and then
Gimli.
reclaim 75.85. And
Gimli.
then what really stamped that for me was when I seen the 200 delta appear and they failed. So, oh no, that's not here yet. And then they failed to push lower. So then that's when it became a range for me. But I need to see that 200 attempt to sell lower.
Gimli. Gimli.
So it's breaking yesterday's lows right now?
Yeah. Right now we're underneath yesterday's low.
So like, what is this like auction story telling you where you saw some absorption at the delta, and it's gonna and then it did continue going lower, but now you need to see a reclaim. Like, why wasn't the little bit that it went down enough to tell you it wasn't gonna work?
Because if sellers were really in control, they shouldn't be struggling like this. They should, because technically here actually it can still reject lower. Let me just put yesterday's low here. 581. So here, I'm asking myself, are sellers gonna reclaim 75.85, or are sellers gonna fight this 435 delta as resistance? So I haven't even made a decision on if this is if sellers are winning or buyers are winning. Because I know that 75.85 is that line in the sand. Either we're gonna reclaim it or we're gonna reject it. The only thing that did make me have a bullish bias was, like I said, NQ was testing that 45-minute demand zone. So when I seen this 75.85 400 delta appear, and I seen that NQ was falling into 45-minute demand, I was like, okay, this could potentially be some kind of support if we reclaim back above 75.85. But once we reject 75.85, or once we drop underneath 75.85 and get to these lows, I'm calculating like, okay, this is eight. We moved 85 to 80. We moved 5 points, and instantly price pops back up. So that already tells me buyers are trying to push a little higher. So now I'm asking, are we reclaiming this 85 or are we rejecting it? I still haven't made a decision on what I'm going to do yet. So here we slightly pop above, but in order for me to really have a conviction to the upside, I need to see at least a pop into these 88s, then pull back and hold these 400, this 400 sell delta. That hasn't happened yet, so I can't even decide on entering yet.
And you picked 88s because it's just the line of the 90-minute
Yeah,
demand? Okay.
and it's uh um yeah, basically because it's the line. It's like my key level area.
I just got to know where your head's at in every little detail.
But the real bullish signal isn't until I see these that 200 delta build down here and it fails. That's where I'm like, okay, this is becoming very bullish. So here all I'm thinking is buyers and sellers are battling, and that 75.85 is where I want to see us hold above if I'm gonna get long. Now here sellers are trying to hold under yesterday's low. But at this point, NQ's holding that 45-minute demand zone. So I'm already starting to build a bullish bias because we're not breaking that 45-minute demand zone on NQ. And then I'm look at how sellers are building here. 200 starting to build. And sellers are struggling. They just can't continue lower.
So you just use outliers to create a range and then get the breakout above or below?
Yeah.
It sounds easy, but it's fucking hard.
And the what makes it easier for me is when NQ aligns with the story. When that happens, I feel good about it. One thing I am forgetting that I need to start doing more again is reading CVD, because CVD is still a good signal. Because look at CVD right now. From the open, here, we made this low, and then it already starts making higher lows. And then on this pullback, it technically still is making a higher low here from where we started, or it's holding that low. And now it's making a higher low as we're holding that range that I have created in my mind. and Q is aligning with the story, but I still need to see that reclaim of 85. But I'm liking how buyers are pushing here.
It's crazy.
Now we
'Cause
get that strong push. Look at how strong this push is.
the delta isn't telling us anything about going long, huh? It's like you have to read the opposite of the delta.
No, remember we had 400 delta and it decreased now. You have to kind of remember that 400 delta was there because it was at 75.85 and now it became 200 seller delta. So the sellers got weaker once buyers stepped in. And now on this next pullback is when you better be ready to get long. So I'm watching for price to break or hold 85s here. And this is where you got to start zooming in because and look at how on this pullback, CVD is still making a higher low. Either you get in on this and set your stop under 81, or you can still be a little more patient.
I probably would have got in already.
Yeah, me too. This is where I got in.
Oh.
But it does pull back a little lower. But you're seeing it like hold that 85. CVD is convincing you that it's not really pushing lower. NQ, like I said, is holding that 45-minute demand. And now sellers try one more time here. It's still inside of the auction, not underneath these 80s. But see how if you're a little more patient, you could feel a little more confident on this next push. Which is what I kind of want to work on.
How are you supposed to know?
By the reaction of the buyers. Because on this pop, it was a pop, but they didn't give the same kind of strength as this pop.
Yeah.
And watch this next pop. I think it's stronger. I think.
I was going by the speed of the first rally.
So you see that? That's way different reaction.
Does it still pull back to 85 after this?
I don't think so. I don't remember. Well, maybe it does.
Oh, yeah, you could have just got back in the pullback.
Yeah.
There you go. And it held. Okay.
But see how that whole auction area I mentioned, 85 to the 80s, once it got above 85, this area here is where you got to be ready to get in because it's holding above the auction. And now here it takes off. Boom. But then I ended up going break even here, I think, because I got in at the 86s, and then it pops up to 93, which is 86, 87, 89, 90, 91, 92, 8 points. So I was like, oh, I gotta go break even. When my stop was under 81s, it pulls back one more time, stops me out at the 86s right here, and then continues. And that's because volatility was very high, or not very high, but pretty high this day.
That one must have hurt when you got
Yeah.
stopped.
I was sad.
I hate when that happens.
So that's where like the trade management has to, but that's also where the auction idea helps you with not moving to break even too soon, because by putting my stop at the 86s, technically I could have kept it under maybe the 85s, because that would then put price back into this auction area. But by putting it to 86s, I'm now above the auction area, and price still has the capability of pulling back to there. But this ends up hitting my target and the next one too. Does that one make sense?
Yeah, that one's clean actually.
And see how it's at a higher time frame zone, and seeing it is a lot easier than, say, the one I took yesterday, where yesterday's was pretty complicated because it wasn't at a higher time frame zone. And then, so that was basically that one. And then you can even see here on this pullback where I got stopped, CVD again made a higher low. And see, even right now, I didn't pay attention to that, but I need to start remembering to look at CVD the way I used to. Because right here, this should have convinced me, like, okay, this can still keep going after this higher low, especially with how it rallied here. But that's gonna take some work for me. That was, I'd say, the cleanest trade of the week. If we were on like that, only take higher time frame trades, that would be one of the better ones. And this one, also 400 delta appears, and then this becomes my range, the 400 to the 200, and I set my stop above these 200s.
So did you choose that little cluster because there was two 400s and then some with it, as opposed to this 456 as 7632 is just standing alone?
This appeared after. This appeared on this route.
Oh, okay, never mind.
We could replay that. This is the 16th. Fuck, I'm hungry.
I just ate, man. You should eat.
Y'all traded today?
It was closer.
Oh, that's right. I was like, damn, this was trade right after the market. I mean, reviewed right after the market.
Hey, you guys don't have work today?
No.
Is it because of Juneteenth?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's like for federal holidays, right?
I have no clue. It's for Black holidays.
I just think it's the weirdest holiday ever. I feel like they're just appeasing to the woke people.
Let it be, bro.
Hey, you know, they're canceling Cesar Chavez Day.
Dude, why?
Because apparently some lady.
Not some lady, bro. Dolores Huerta.
I don't know who she is.
No, but she was
said
like
that
she,
Like, what do you do? I don't want to say. I'm assuming he raped
She
her.
was like his right hand man, and like even though he gets all the credit, she put in a lot of the work of like all the stuff he fought for. And then just like a couple of years ago, I mean, no, a couple of months ago, she like let out a huge secret that she had 2 kids by him because he raped her, and
Oh,
like she actually didn't raise those kids. She like gave them away because she knew it was gonna mess up the movement if they found that out.
I believe it though. All these fucking activist people are pieces of shit, dude. Even like Gandhi, Mother Teresa, they're all pieces of shit.
I take the good with the bad, bro.
They did a lot more bad than good. Mother Teresa stole a bunch of money and didn't put any into her hospitals, and she believed that sick people should suffer to get closer to God and all this shit. It's fucking
hey,
crazy.
Eloy's recording this. You're gonna get canceled.
You're done, Gabe.
Fuck Mother Teresa. Fuck Mother Teresa. And Gandhi used to sleep with little girls and shit.
Cultural differences, Gabe. Sheesh.
Fine, let's give him a Juneteenth.
All right, so this one, part of also the reason why this one was key to me was look at the value profile here. The last time we had tested here on Friday, look at it was last Friday, no, 2 Fridays ago. Look at the massive drop we had here. It was like ridiculously strong. So then once we popped back into it on Monday, we popped above it, but still created an LVN right in that same range where the sell off occurred on Friday. So then on Tuesday, when I seen price popping up into this same area, I was aware that it was my 2 hour supply still, and uh, we had that LVN still. So those two things were aligning with for me, and it was at pre-market high. So that was one thing I was just aware of as price was popping into this pre-market high area. And then
That's it.
once,
That's actually something I never considered. When it drops significantly and it comes back to that resistance line, like that could be resistance, like a key
yeah,
level.
exactly.
I never considered that.
But I don't just not like I don't just want it to pop into this here where this HVN. I want it to pop above and then reject.
Yeah, for sure. Still need the reaction on that shit.
So here at the open, 5 minutes into the open, we get this large buyer that appeared here, and you can see 300 delta on the buy, and then price rejects it, and then we pop back into it. So as we're popping back into it, I'm already asking myself, let me put the premium. It's the same idea that I was saying earlier, where it's like, okay, we have this large delta here. Are we gonna reject it or are we gonna reclaim it? So now, wait, I don't know if that happened after. Oh, so it hadn't even formed yet. So on this pop, we hadn't formed anything yet. It was just 100 delta. So nothing is telling me that I should be shorting this. I'm just aware that we have that LVN above pre-market high, and it looks like price is trying to resist this area, but nothing in the delta is sticking out yet. Now here I'm watching the delta again to see what occurs. 200 delta appears. $200 again. So buyers right now, I'm telling myself, okay, buyers are trying here. I'm aware of these limit orders. 340 now, or 327, 350. The buyers are really trying 400 delta now. So
It's the
now
same
I'm
shit
asking my,
to the previous one.
what was that?
It was the same shit that happened to the previous one.
Yeah, exactly. Now that I see the 400 delta, now the question is, what's the reaction after it?
And what's your range?
I still had, well, I haven't fully formed it yet, but it would be
That's the top.
above these 58s. But it hasn't really fully formed yet.
That's why we gotta let the market play out
Yeah.
to see what happens.
So it could be that we're watching the market. There might be huge swings, huge rallies, huge drops, but there might not even be like a range that matters yet. That could, like, those ranges and swings can be random. Maybe there'll be something that the delta's telling us, but it doesn't mean we found an area where the auction is taking place, right? Or
Yeah, like on this rejection here, nothing was telling me to get short. It was just buyers popped in, we got a little rejection, and then buyers popped in again. But then on this pop is where that delta started to build. And that's now where we're seeing, okay, buyers are trying here with some aggression and they're struggling. Now, once you see that delta, what's the reaction after? Do we reject? Do we hold? Do we reclaim back above? And now after this rejection, you kind of wanted to break a little lower though. This not convincing. I almost wanted to break lower than this just to prove to me that, like, okay, sellers are really rejecting that large buyer. So here it broke under, and now we're gonna, if we reject these 400 buyers, or do we reclaim them?
and that 169, like those two bottoms, aren't still not a zone for you, right? Or a range?
What 169?
I mean, yeah, my bad. At the 63.31, 76.
No,
Okay.
nothing. This doesn't. I mean, I know that there's some kind of support here that's holding these sellers, but it's not relevant to what's this is actually happening. Now, if this became 400 delta at 76.31, then I'd be like, okay, this is could be some consolidation between 76.36 and 76.33, and I wouldn't, or 76.31, and I wouldn't want to just short because we reject 76.36. I would need to see what's that reaction after 76.31 if it's the same size delta as what's up here.
And then a break of either side and a pullback,
Exactly.
and a few other confirmations.
And another thing with this specific one was that NQ was popping up into this area. This, I didn't mark it as a zone because on, if you look at the previous day here, at this exact white line, we had a aggressive rejection on NQ. So I marked it just like that's interesting. And as price was popping up into this LVN I mentioned, we NQ was struggling to hold above, and NQ was also flat. When NQ's flat like this, it likes to do this consolidation thing that it's doing right now. So I was aware that, okay, VWAP's flat. I said VX. VWAP's flat, and we're starting to form this consolidation little thing. So I was like, if this is gonna be resistance and it aligns with this, I can see price dropping a little lower on NQ. So that just added to my short thesis here. What am I doing? Now, when this happens like this, I usually want to see a high a day break, like a little pop above and then a rejection, but it didn't happen this time. But I did see that another large 400 delta appeared, so that started to stick out to me as well.
Hello?
So see how on this pop,
Yes.
nothing.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. No, no, this is his grandson, Eloy. December. Sorry, give me a quick second. December 8th, 1937.
Far as selling confirmation, if you want to take a short, would you want it to break 76.31 first and then pull back?
Right now,
Yeah, like say if you were to take a short.
if right now it were to sell off without me, I would have to accept that I missed it, to be
No, no,
honest.
no, no, no. I mean, like if you wanna if you're looking for a short, like this, every time it pulled down, it hits support right there. This random support
Yeah.
at 76.31. So, like, would it be smart to get in at 76.35? Like, if you were to get in, or around 76.31 once it breaks that little support?
I would prefer to get what I said where it pops up and I see true like more aggression fail and then get short around like on the rejection there. Because now if I wait for 31 to break, then where's my stop going to be?
Mm.
I mean, yeah, it's a safer
I was just asking, like, would you consider that a confirmation that sellers are stronger than the buyers to take a short?
I mean, yeah,
Never
but
mind.
it technically does break 31. We just haven't seen it yet. Cause look at the candles here. It breaks down all the way into like the 30s.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would you need that for confirmation for shorts? Like, just added confirmation?
The fact that it keeps making lower lows is convincing. Like it's like, okay, sellers are really trying to push this lower, but I still need to see that aggression of buyers fail at these 400s.
Mm.
So as this is developing here, I am telling myself, okay, sellers keep making lower lows every time it drops. But I'm not just gonna get short just because we break under 31. Because then I don't even know where my stop would be. And if I were gonna put a stop, it would have to be like all the way up here above these 400 deltas, which is like 36s. I don't really want to get short that far away. But see, like this here, I'm like, damn, am I missing the move? But I have
Yeah.
to accept that my rule is I need to see that buyer rejection that or retest of these 400 delta
Why now though? Why didn't you get in the second one?
on this one.
That one or the one before that?
Remember, the 400 delta appeared here.
Oh, that's where it appeared.
So I need to see the reaction after the 400 delta. The reaction is this rejection. And as this rejection occurred, I was telling myself, I want to see buyers pop back up into these 400s and fail. But they
Oh, so it,
technically
it
never
didn't
popped
test it.
back up into it with aggression.
Got it, got it, got it.
So this is technically still just the reaction of that 400 delta.
All right.
So now here, I think it still doesn't test it. 300 buy delta tried to appear here. And when I seen that, I didn't get short because I didn't like how the sellers just weren't like if this would have happened and we got this same kind of sweep as we got here, then maybe I would have pushed the sell button. But because we popped up and then it kind of just like lingered around, I was just like, I don't know, I'm not convinced. And also, the part of the reason why I was super patient with this one is because we were so high up into my 2 hour supply. So I was like questioning, like, is this a key 2 hour supply? It is the LVN that I had mentioned, but I was telling myself this is more of an auction based setup than a higher time frame setup. And remember last week when I was saying with auction based setups, they kind of take more time to develop.
Yeah.
That's how I was viewing this. I was like, may take a little more time to develop.
So is auction based setups what we should have been training for to begin with, or are there still other ways to short or long the market that we've been practicing as well?
No, the higher, remember, for me at least, auction based setups are B plus setups.
Mm-hmm.
Higher time frame setups, like the 90-minute demand I showed you the first review we did, that's the A plus setup because it's right at that 90-minute zone. You still use the auction idea, but this here is more B plus setup because it's like you're just going strictly based off of the LVN. Like the to create the story, it took a little more creativity, like Gabriel had said last week.
Mm.
Is it because the supply zone is so big
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that it just seems like it's in a random spot?
Yeah. That I think what Gabriel had said last week, where it's like if you have to be more creative about it, and already you kind of should like lower the grade of the setup. Now here we get a pop. I don't even remember what time I got in. Give me a sec.
Dude, I was watching this. I remember this one. You took it short, and I was like, damn, I wasn't even paying attention to shorts. I was waiting for it to break above. I was like, fuck.
17? I won 16. 651 I got in. So here's the buyers trying again. Now 400 delta built up again. So now I'm like, okay, buyers are really trying here. So here's the rejection. I waited for that pop, the shallow pullback. Buyers try one more time. Buyers are trying. That 400 is still there. I'm short. I think. Let me see the exact. Yeah, I was short already. And then I set my stop above these 200s, but I think I ended up just going to 37 because I was like, let me just go above Hayadin. So I got in at 34 or 33.25 with the 3.75 stop.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
You could have put it at 39.
What is NQ doing at this moment?
NQ was rejecting that. Well, it wasn't fully at that resistance line, but it was underneath that resistance line I had mentioned.
And then what
And
did?
then SPY was also rejecting that pre-market high area.
Hmm.
But what was the most convincing as to why this was key was this idea here that the LVN was right above pre-market high. That 400 delta appeared 2 times here, and then buyers kept trying. Buyers tried here where the 400 delta was created. It popped up, couldn't with aggression here. They popped up again. This time they did try with aggression, and we know it was aggression because then another 400 delta appeared, and then we rejected. And now that idea where I say you wait for that rejection and then the pullback, and then I got in on this next rejection here. And I was targeting VWAP. But I really wanted to target the bottom of 2 hour. But why did I use VWAP? VWAP was 76.27. I think I was just scared because I knew I was taking a B plus setup. So I was like, let me just take it off once it hits VWAP. The only thing that does scare me with this specific one is that I've seen where it does like to fake you out and pop up into break high a day and then the rejection occurs. So just be cautious of that. But the fact that those 400 delta buyers tried to appear again and we still got a rejection was the convincing part to go short. And that's why I say you let the 400 delta appear, you wait for the reaction, and then you want to see true intention from buyers fail. And like I said, the true intention was that the 400 delta appeared again and they couldn't get above. And then there's the short target hit right there. So 33 to. Oh, yeah, I wanted 2 hour supply because 2 hour supply would have been my 10 points. But I was pretty nervous about this setup because, like I said, it's a B plus setup. So I was like unsure if honestly I shouldn't even be taking these. I should just be journaling them, but I keep just doing it.
Yeah.
Dude, but like we're reading the auction better. I mean, like I feel like it makes sense still.
Yeah, and that's also why I'm kind of like more pushy to try it because I'm like, if I don't try it, I don't feel like I'll journal it and study it the same way I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
That is true,
It
dude.
forces me to like, okay, why did this work or why did it not work?
Like since I told myself that I wasn't gonna trade, this is like it's not a good thing, but I'm like less interested at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna trade, even though I'm like at the computer and trying to be focused. But I think there's something that happens naturally that I'm like not paying attention as much as I should.
Yeah, I feel that.
Why aren't you paying attention?
Like, not that I want to. It's just because I know I'm not trading, or it's like I'm not really looking for setups. I'm just more of like watching
You're
it.
just observing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. When are you gonna start live trading again?
Probably like this upcoming week. I'll get ready to do that again. Like on
Sweet.
Monday. Like I'll definitely set up live. I've been setting up demo, but not, and I'm not even taking trades on demo. Like I said, like that's where I'm like I'm not even trying to trade. I'm just trying to watch, but my watch isn't as good as it should be.
Mm.
This one was a little trash. The volatility was weak on this, so I'm not even gonna go over Monday.
Dude, it's already 10:40. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But like I said, those two were like the more those two reviews were the more obvious trades. It's this. Oh, I already went over that.
I mean, if they're not obvious, you shouldn't be taking trades.
And then you want to go over yesterday's?
Sure.
Um, uh,
Did you take a trade every day this week?
yeah. Scary. I took 10 trades this week.
Whoa.
Yeah, damn.
So this one was, there was no key level here. It was just price instantly rejected at the open, and then you can see here this is the right where the low started to form, and on this low forming CBD, I was watching CBD starting to like uh flatten out, I guess you can say. And then I was seeing these pops occur here. And I tried it. My first trade on this day was at 6:56. So actually let me get the zoomed out version. So you can see here, this was my, oh, that's not it. Was that it? Maybe it was. This one, there's another one. So my first trade here was, I seen this rally, so I let price consolidate, and I was telling myself, okay, we had a massive drop, so don't expect price to instantly reverse. So I waited maybe about 10, 15 minutes, and then price finally had this pop up here. And then on the pullback is where I had seen delta building up. So on the pullback, CBD was still holding that structure of higher lows, but I got into early jumping the gun again, and it's what I was explaining earlier, where I knew what the auction area was. So this is that rally I just mentioned. I knew what the auction area was, which was this 75.46 to down here 75.41. So it was 46 to 41. And as price was pulling back, I seen a little pop. So this is price pulling back here into 75.46, and then 75.41's down here. I seen price pull back into the 43s, and then I seen this pop. I didn't get in because I needed to see a reclaim of the 46s. It pulls back again, and then on this pop, I got impatient and I just entered right when it got to 75.46, and then instantly got stopped out. My stop was underneath 41, thinking like, oh, it's inside the auction. I can just set it underneath the auction, and then it ended up breaking underneath. But part of the reason why yesterday was so volatile was because it was quadruple witching day, which is where um, big investment, or what are they called? The big funds, they start to balance their sheets, so they're exiting positions and putting on positions, so it gets very sloppy. So this whole area here was very volatile. So I entered and then I got stopped instantly, but I still was aware that this 46 had to be reclaimed. So then it stops me out, and then it pops up super aggressive here, and on this pop above 46s again, it pulls back, and I got long on this next aggressive push because I was aware of this 300 delta that appeared here, and you can see, okay. So this is after I got stopped out here, that 300 sal delta appears at the 43s. So it's still 46, this 400 delta, and then still like that 41 area here. So the 400, let's say I'm gonna draw the box. Fuck, I fucked it up. This white box is the auction area.
Mm.
So we got that pop. Price pulls back. I ended up getting in too early. It stops me out, and then this 300 a sell delta appears, and we still have that 400. So I'm like, okay, price still needs to reclaim above if it's gonna work out for longs. And then I got in on the pop back above 46s. You can see where we hit 50s, or no, we hit above 46s, and then on this pullback, you could barely see it. I got in on the next push up, and then I set my stop underneath the 41s again. But since we popped up, I think it was, what is that, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 57 points. I again moved my stop to break even once we hit here. And then once it pulls back to my break even, it stops me out, and then it continues. If I would have just kept my stop where I initially had it, I would have been able to get my 10 points plus to VWAP or break above VWAP. Um, but because I moved my stop to break even on a super volatile day, I ended up getting stopped out. And then after that happens, price fine. So this is where price rallied, and then it stopped. It drops here, and I seen this pullback here, and I didn't even take it. I was just like, whatever. I'm not gonna even. I was already telling myself like I'm done for the day. And as price was rallying here, I seen us break above, and my initial target from all my entries was gonna be VWAP and then pre-market high, because this is where the aggressive selling had began here on this drop. And now as price is rallying and I see this drop here, I was looking at the delta, and I was finding it interesting that on this rejection, we didn't have any heavy delta that was showing me that there was a reason to reject here. It was just price was just falling. And I was just like, that's weird. Usually large delta would appear showing us that price doesn't want to continue higher. So as it was falling, I then got my trend line thing, and I pulled it down to the lows of this pullback, and I realized that it had pulled back about negative 0.25%. And then I started to see this drop, and I got the trend line and I did the same thing, and I was like, oh shit, this is like about to be negative 0.25% also. And it slightly breaks underneath to like negative 0.31%. And then we instantly get this pop back above. And when I did that line for the trend line, I realized it was back at these 45s, which was that what I had mentioned earlier, the that area of the auction. Where's that box I just drew? Fuck, I lost it. Oh, it was that one. This one. So the box I just drew when I was with you guys right now, from 46 down to the 41s. And I was like, oh shit, it's pulling back right back into that auction area. And then right when it pulls back, it pops up super strong. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So then I waited for the pullback again, and as it pulled back, I it popped up slightly, pulled back one more time, and I was like, I need to try this on the next push. We're above the 46s, holding. CBD made a higher low, or made a lower low, but then aggressively got back above. So I was like, I need to try this with my stop underneath the 300 delta here. And then it worked out pretty fucking fast.
Nice.
My initial target was pre-market high, and I was just panicking because I was like, fuck, am I being greedy by not exiting at the 60s? And I just exited just out of fear. But it ended up hitting my target.
That was a cool 10 points, right?
Yeah.
Not bad.
But see how this one also, I had to be creative with how I was coming up with the story. One other thing though was that NQ was a big portion as to why I got in, because look at on this rally up, and as price did that pullback, I was seeing that NQ was dropping back to the bottom of my supply zone, right where VWAP was. And I was like, okay, this is super interesting now. Not only did the pullback percentage align, but now NQ is also pulling back to a key area, right where VWAP is. And that just added to my conviction. Plus, it was where the auction the auction area I was paying attention to, the 46s to the 41s, which is right where we pulled back into, and we got the aggressive pop. If this aggressive pop wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have tried it. But because of how aggressive this occurred, and then we pull back, hold the 46s again, I still was like, I don't know. And then it pops up again and then pulls back one more time on this aggressive push. I was like, I need to try this.
Good shit.
So you didn't get in on that previous little dip right there? Like that wasn't the same. I don't know if you were watching it the same way, but it wasn't like the setup.
This?
No, on the book map, that little dip before where you entered, like way before the bigger dip from earlier on the screen.
This?
No, the 715. Yeah, like the setup didn't appear there when it got back to your area, or was that your first trade area?
No, this was this pullback.
Your trade was before that one, right?
Yeah, my trades were over here.
Okay.
So I had took a loss right here, and then I took a break even right here, and then I was already telling myself like, "Oh, I'm done for the day. Like this shit's not gonna work out." And then this happens. It pulls back super strong here, and then we get this super crazy. This is a 2-minute candle here, so it pops up super fast and strong. So I was like, okay, one, we have a super volatile day, so expecting these kind of swings isn't like isn't unnatural in this condition. So then as it pops up again, doesn't hit my target, we get that same exact swing, like the same, almost to the T, the same exact percentage pullback. And that's when I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I started to build a story again because this added to why this was important to me. If this wouldn't have happened, I would have just been like, okay, I'm just calling it here. But because this happened, and then I seen that same type of swing occur again, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then when I seen NQ pulling back to VWAP at the same time, then the story started to become more obvious to me. And also CVD was a big portion for this one because we had made that low and then aggressively popped. So, like I said, when it's not at a key level, the story kind of, you got to be more creative with it. And I was already going to give up, but because of everything aligning on this pullback and how aggressive the pop was here, the story just made sense. And being that it was holding that auction area, the story just made more sense.
That's good.
But this is a B plus setup again. Not an A plus. I wouldn't, like, if you were to trade next week, I wouldn't be looking to take this. It's a little harder to catch.
I bet you're gonna take another one of these next week.
If it were to happen again, I'd take it. I'm just saying, you guys better be careful because it's scary. But that's basically it.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I still, if I were you guys, would still focus on the higher time frame A plus setups. But I mean, like I said, the reason I'm taking them is because it forces me to journal them and really like analyze where my mistakes are occurring with the B plus setups. So if you're willing to take those losses, then be my guy.
I told myself I have to take at least 2 auction based setups a week.
Yeah. Gabriel took a winning trade this week.
Yeah.
Nice. How much was that one worth, Gabe?
Just 45. Just 10 points.
His was also auction based. Or like he used the auction idea.
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
I gotta put into practice somehow.
Are you sure it wasn't your dog that just came in and clicked the buy button, bro? to take credit
It
for
was
the
nice.
dub.
It was bored down. That's basically it, though. I don't got much else.
No, that was tight. That was a good one.
So,
Guys, locked in for next week or what?
I'm ready.
yep, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right.
Well, I'm out.
All right, yeah. Have a good
All right, me
weekend.
too.
All right,
Peace out.
peace.
Peace.